Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 49th lesson of A Course in Miracles. And I am so thrilled, y'all. I'm so excited this evening. Today's lesson is God's voice speaks to me all through the day. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. And I am elated to introduce you to our guest today, Alexa Page.
Hey, everybody.
Hi. Alexa had a powerful near-death experience, which opened her eyes to the many dimensions available to us. But Alexa's spiritual experiences go beyond her near-death experience. Alexa has become a pioneer in the practice of lucid dreaming. And we will learn in today's conversation that our dream time is an opportunity for us to travel to other dimensions and retain the information when we awake. So thank you so much, Alexa, for joining the sharing group. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you for the invitation. I was beside myself when I saw it. I'm like, gosh, it's such an honor. And I love your show. So I just thank you that you reached out to me.
Thank you so much. Yes, that's so amazing. Well, I know that we have much ground to cover today. So maybe you can start, by sharing your near-death experience, and then we can go into the many other spiritual experiences that you've had.
Awesome. Okay, yeah, let's start with the near-death experience. So I don't know. The term itself is kind of with me because I feel like you're not your body. So it's like you're just either in your body or out of your body, even if you're permanently out of it. At this point, I don't consider those experiences near death. I think they're just without body. So, like that scripture that says in the body or out of the body, I do not know. So that's kind of how it is. And for me, I was out of my body because of a situation where, long story short, I mixed up too many things and didn't check, what I was taking.
Okay.
Then on top of that, mind you, I just want to say disclaimer, I'm from Washington State. So I had a prescription brownie. It was a prescription, but it was a brownie nevertheless. And I just think the mix of everything, I had a reaction to it. Okay. And because my tolerance was like 0, it immediately sent me on another level. And I know the difference between, just what you would call like, eating a brownie or two versus actually leaving your body. And that's what happened to me at that time. I ended up going to the hospital and everything. But before that happened, I had an experience that was amazing. And it just made me like open my eyes. And actually, I don't regret it. I would do it again if I could. But, I won't. But I'm saying if I knew it result in that. So I had a very awakening experience. Let's just skip to the part that people want to know about. So when I felt everything kicking in and, I started feeling woozy, not quote unquote high, and I was feeling really, really, really lazy. And then next thing I felt like I was like 1,000 pounds of bricks and I had to lay down. And when I laid down on the couch, I felt myself separating. And when I felt myself separating, I was thinking, oh, I could not die here today, but I'm thinking to myself, like, this can't happen. This can't happen. It was just a brownie. What? Then I thought about the prescription and, all this other, and I'm just thinking like, okay, it's the mixture. And that immediately told me this is why this is happening. This is why you're getting this response. So when I felt my body separating, I went into panic mode. I'm a single mom, and I really was worried about my son. Now, I don't know if you know this or not. If you listen to the experiences, your thoughts take you places, or sometimes they bring people to you spiritually or bring you to them. So me being in panic mode while my body is separating, immediately I'm thinking of my son. And so I knew what was happening because it never happened to me before. And I'm thinking, okay, you're going to die here right now. Who's going to take care of your son? I'm talking about to the littlest detail. Who's going to do this? Like things that he only wants me to do. Or, like, because he was so small then. I'm thinking, like, who's going to do this? Who's that? Like, my mind was just racked with that. But yet, the more I was splitting, the more I was becoming this spiritual being. So it's like, I realized, like, whoa, we are compartmentalized. Like, you have a spirit, a soul, and a body. And so I'm thinking, like, my personality is splitting off from this other mind. And it's like I'm almost arguing with myself. And so I ended up basically in this vast space of nothingness. And I'm thinking, like, you're dying right now. You're dead. Like, what are you going to do? And me having this conversation with myself, I'm saying a human mind can't contain this. That's just all I kept repeating. The human mind can't contain this. And then that part of me, that's Alexa right here, thinking about my son, thinking about my son, thinking about my son. And so, yeah, these two things like battling. And then finally, I like brought my son to me. And I can tell I summoned him. Like by the second he came, I can tell I summoned him to me. Now, mind you, he's alive. He's only, I believe he was 6 at the time. Yeah, he was only 6 years old or just turned 7. But anyways, he was a grown man in front of me. And I'm thinking like, oh, this is crazy. And I know it's my son. And this is like a big, tall, towering over me. I'm not the tallest girl, but I'm not short either. So he's towering over me and he's just like looking at me kind of like with his arms folded, like puzzled. And I'm just like, Yaima? And then he said, and like looked at me and I said his name again. And then finally he said, Mom. But the way he said mom was kind of like he made himself say it like an act. It was just the weirdest feeling. I felt so awkward because I know it wasn't like, it was my son, but it wasn't my son, And so I looked at him and I said, Yaima? And he said, Mom? I said, what are you doing here? Because, I'm thinking like, first of all, what's really in my mind is like, why are you a grown man right now? And so I'm just like, what are you doing here? And then he said, what are you doing here? And when he said, what are you doing here? I immediately got the download, like, this is a intelligent spiritual being, like completely, like I knew he had more wisdom than me, basically, way more wisdom than I did. And I knew that so then finally it hit me that he was asking me like, why are you looking at me through the mom lens? It's just like a download.
Yes.
It was just looking like, why are you calling, because he called me mom, like to appease me. And I was just like, what are you doing here? He's like, no, what are you doing here? So obviously at that point, I'm like, oh, wow, what did I do? What did I do? And it's handsome. I'm not just saying it because he's my son. he was a big, handsome, like broad shoulder, like, like an athlete. Mm-hmm. He looked like an athlete. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, this is my son? You know what I mean? Like, he's a mama's boy, of course. So, I still cuddled him at that age, 6, 7, all the way up to probably like 11, Mm-hmm. So I'm just cuddling him, spoiling him, whatever. And he literally like is looking down at me with all this wisdom. Like, what are you doing here? And I was just like, OMG. And then, and then he was just like, what? And in my mind, I'm thinking, now I realize I made him come to me by, worrying and thinking his name and picturing him. Like that is when it sunk in that I brought him to me in that whatever we were in. I don't like to say darkness because people think black, dark, it's evil. No, it's not. It's the most comforting thing. It's like a velvet. To be honest with you, I think the best description I heard was a womb. It's like another womb. And basically our experiences are like those, like those Russian eggs where it gets smaller and smaller. And, you can keep going so that's what I felt like I was in another womb, but greater than this realm, but still another womb. And it was like I was in this comforting velvet, just soft, like, nothing could bother me. I felt so comfortable. Yes, it was black, but it wasn't like black void of light. It was like black, like a fuzzy cover, I can't express it. but there was nothing evil or bad about it. I didn't feel anything. It was just like a in-between zone. I don't know what to call it. And so he was there, and when he finally like established, like, okay, I get it. You're calling me Yaima, I'm calling you mom. What next? And then in my mind, I'm thinking like back to the younger Yaima. Because now I'm just like confused about this. Skirt. Let me go back to my thought. I'm worried about my Yaima right now. So that's what my mind was like, because this is too much. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm worried about my Yaima. And then he said, like, you know what I mean? Like, look at me. He's like, I'm fine. Look at me, mom, I'm fine. And I was like, wow. And I just felt so stupid. And I was like, okay. And he's like, okay. And I was like, okay. But he kind of felt like he was like I was bothering him, like he was doing something important. And I don't know if it was because our connection or, me being his mom on earth right now, I don't know, but I took him from somewhere. And he was like trying to go back. And he was telling me like, I'm okay.
Wow.
Like stop summoning me, right? And I just felt so bad. And I felt like, honestly, I felt stupid. I felt stupid, not in like a dumb way, but just like in a, like I was supposed to know something that I didn't know. And it was because I was looking through those lenses, those mom lenses is why I couldn't see. And he was like wondering, why are you here? Why are you looking at me like, your son, don't you know we play these roles all the time? Like, that's how I was, thinking, like, he was like, why are you calling me? Yeah, And it's like when I actually started coming back to, well, I'll get to that later. But after that, I saw, so, he went back into his spirit realm, whatever he had to do. He got back.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Alexa. So you took the mixture, whatever you took, and you began to feel your spirit. You began to feel the separation from like your body, your personality, and your spirit. What was going on when you thought the human mind cannot contain this? What were you experiencing for you to say that?
I just felt like a download of information was flowing through my body. And then it's like I kind of like or interrupted it. Like I said, I felt like I was warring with myself because I'm literally fighting tooth and nail. Like I cannot leave my son.
Gotcha.
And I was just like, I'm not leaving my son, period. I don't care. So that was actually really strong. That's why I'm like, I don't know about anybody else, but I am one of the mothers who would probably lift the car if my child was. I'm probably one of them because I'm telling you, it's not easy. But I was fighting hard, and then when I finally like broke through, that's when I brought him through to me. And so when I brought him to me, I'm like, what did I do all that for? You're fine, but that's not the Yama I was talking about. I was worried about this, my baby Yama.
Yeah.
And so it was just, I don't know if I was talking to this day, I don't know if I was talking to his oversoul or his actual personality spirit matured. I don't know. But I know that being that saw in front of me was wise, was, I think, wiser than we are. You know what I mean? Like I got the feeling it was like a, I don't know, a superhero version of him.
Wow, that's amazing.
And then he was just so like, I could just feel the wisdom off of him. And I was thinking to myself, like, he don't need me for nothing. Nothing at all. Like I need him. You know what I mean? Like that's how his spirit was. And I was like, why am I up here worried about, but then again, that part of my mind was still alive. And I'm thinking, no, my baby, I gotta take him to daycare, or I gotta take him to school, I gotta get, that part of me is still alive and well. So it was really a battle. And then finally, when I like released that fear, like, okay, you're okay. Then I saw like never ending parallel, I don't know what you want to call them, realities or what, but I saw Earths plural, Earths. And I mean, they stretch from the right to the left. As far as you can see, they did not stop. And they were just Earth. It wasn't like a lot of planets, this planet, that planet. It was all Earths. So I just thinking to myself, like, not only do we have so many planets, there are parallel realities in them. Like it's our mind can't conceive it. And that's when that thought started really coming in. A human mind can't conceive this. Every time I envision it, it's like blows my mind because it's like we do not even know. Like this is like a speck of dust. Your whole, I mean, I'm not discounting nobody's experiences, but I'm just saying your whole entire life in this earth is like a grain of sand. One grain of sand. How many experiences? But then again, it's eternity. So yeah, you have eternity to live 1,000 parallels on an unnumberable amount of planets. It's mine. And that's why I'm like, a human mind can't conceive this. And I was looking at all these Earths and I started trying to look like it's like I was searching for one. And then when I started looking like closer and closer, I felt that. And I knew instinctively, if I would have focused on one of those too far, I would have went to that. And I'm thinking to myself, when I woke up, I'm like, well, what would have happened to me? You know, this body. Arnie, what would have happened to that, Alexa? You know, if I would have took her body over, you know? So I'm just thinking, like, it's just so many different possibilities, but they were all Earth, though. I know for a fact they were all Earth. They were identical. I mean, a little bit different, but they were definitely Earth. I had that knowing. So when I'm thinking like a human mind can't conceive this, a human mind can't conceive this, I didn't talk to any being or anything, but I literally know I was assisted getting back. And that's when I was fully back into my body. And when I was fully back into my body, I'm thinking like, oh no, because I thought that was like my chance to get help. Nothing like that ever happened to me. So I'm like, if this is my one chance to get help, because I didn't know if I was going to die, again, or almost die again. And immediately, I told my sister, I said, take me to the hospital. And of course, she's, because she don't do nothing, okay? She'll take 2 sips of wine and be off the wall. So she don't do anything at all. So she's thinking like, you took an edible. She's not knowing that, my baby sister, I love her so much. But yeah, she don't do nothing. And so she was just thinking, I gotta take my old weed head sister to the hospital. And, I'm just like, that was not the case. And then when I finally like calmed all the way down and I was still talking about the same thing, that's when she started believing me. And I kept telling her, I said, listen, I said, I'm not playing. I said, we call it adult yarn to this day. It's like adult yarn. Even my son calls it that. He was like, did adult Yaima do this? Did adult Yaima do this?
Yeah, it's too funny. I remember hearing another interview you did where when you were at the hospital, your sister was there, and you told her, I saw multiverses. And you said that your sister was like, go back to sleep, go back to bed. You still.
Exactly.
Yeah,
she did not believe me. And I just said, like, I saw the multiverse. And she's like, yeah, but she didn't realize like that experience was actually more real than this. That was more real than this. And it's like, you can't get that feeling back. When you get inside, and this is how I know it was a true NDE, because of course, after that, I listened to a billion of them trying to relate. And one thing that is the same is you feel stuffed back into your body. Your body feels like a heavy weight, like a meat suit, like a dirty meat suit, to be honest. It feels like you put on like muddy clothes back on. And that's how I felt. I was even walking like this for like 2 hours, 2-3 hours. I was like high stepping because I felt like I was wearing I literally was walking differently.
Wow.
And I'm just like stomping, like, because I feel like even though it's my mind, because obviously I can walk, but I felt like I was stuffed back into this heavy meat suit, slugging it around, lugging it everywhere I go. And like my steps were like knee-high steps because I felt heavy.
Mm.
And when I caught myself walking like that, it's like I had to make myself stop. Like, calm down, walk. You can walk, you can walk, you can walk. And now I get it, because I used to, not criticize, but I used to just think like, that don't make no sense. How does somebody just need to learn to walk again? I'm like, that don't make sense. If their legs ain't injured, why do they need to learn to walk again? Some people have accidents, even though they didn't have no leg injuries, they have to learn to walk again. And I'm like, well, if your legs ain't hurt, why do you got to learn to walk? Now I know. Because it's something that makes you just not feel like, this is extra. This body is extra. We lugging around. Listen, all I got to say is, if you made it to Earth, you're strong. Because just the fact you're willing to lug this thing around, yeah, you strong. Because this is not.
I've always heard that we are the most courageous souls.
Nobody wants to come to Earth.
Yeah. I mean, you are so funny.
No, but yeah, I think about it now. I'm just like, I wish I could have extended it. Like my sister makes jokes. She was like, well, if you was there, how come you didn't ask for it? How come you didn't ask for the lotto numbers? How come you didn't ask me about me? I'm just like, you think I was thinking about all that? I was thinking about, why am I looking at a dope version of a rabbi looking at, like, of my son, while I know my baby's at home, like, and I'm like, it was just too much. And when I said a human mind can't handle this, that's when I started getting assistance with getting back. Because I was not lying about a human mind can't handle it. A human mind cannot handle it. I feel like if I would have been there for another 10 seconds, I would have exploded. And I'm not talking about this body, I mean my spirit. And damn, I don't know who can put you back, spirit back together. This body can explode, you'll be fine. But if your spirit explodes, you got a problem. And I felt like I was like on the verge of busting. And I'm just like, oh no, I got to get back.
Well, what I love about that is when you encountered your son as an adult, and at the time your son was just 5 years old, but when you had that experience, you saw him as an adult, but you felt his bigness, right? You felt his wisdom and that he was evolved. And when I heard that, it reminded me of, as parents, we want everything to be perfect for our kids. And, we feel guilty if, everything is not optimal, but it just reminded me that our children are souls as well. And they wanted to have an experience just like we did. And they chose us as their parents, and that everything is in divine perfection.
Right.
So yeah, I love that. And I know that you mentioned that even now you tell your son, like, I'm not going to push my ideas on you.
Right.
You make your own way, you as a soul.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, after that experience, I couldn't really look at him straight for almost months.
Wow.
I could not look at him without seeing that other Yaima. I'm just like, like it was just, my mind was still, I was back in my body, but I was not 100% back. Like it took months for me to really just like get fully back into this.
Acclimated.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking like, oh no, like I cannot live like this. God help me. Like, because I love that experience, but you cannot be a good mother. You can't be a mother, period, if you think you're raising a, like a Buddha or Dalai Lama or what, like, I don't know. Like, I just know in the spirit realm, in which we all are really, because see, I brought my little increment of myself, and I feel like, honestly, I think that probably was his oversoul. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't his oversoul, then it's his mature spirit from this lifetime. But whatever it was way more evolved than I could ever be. I mean, in this life. And I felt it. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, Okay, so this right here, and it just made me think back to so many things, like even in my pregnancy. I mean, getting spiritually attacked and all kind of people having crazy dreams and prophets and soothsayers and secret. I mean, people, when I was pregnant, that was the most craziest time of my life. And then after I had my son, it was another layer. So I'm like, I don't know what the heck I signed up for. But but yeah, I'm like, I don't know what the heck this child is, or maybe it's just a spiritual thing. I don't know, but I can tell you now that that woke me up. That woke me up like you are a. I mean, of course, I love my son and he loves me, but it put me in my place. Like you are a kangaroo holding holding the pouch until it's ready to go. Like don't get beside yourself. Like this thing is already what it is. He is already what he is.
So
And
after you encountered him and he was kind of like almost like you got it, like why are you here, like that kind of thing, and you were like, okay, I get it. How did you get back? Did you have assistance to get back to your own, I guess your body to come back in this realm?
had assistance, but I cannot recall the details of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I felt another presence, and then I felt myself remembering where I was. It didn't come to me like that. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I had to remember, oh, like I said, I felt heavy, like a ton of bricks right before I left, and I felt like a ton of bricks when I came back. So when I came back, I was still on the couch, but I really felt like my mind had to tell each part of me what to do. Like I still wasn't there yet. Like, you know, roll over, roll over, roll over, boom, put your right foot on the floor, boom, put your left foot on the floor. And I was like in the inside of a machine, like pulling
Mm-hmm.
strings. That's how I was for a minute, just to get up the stairs to tell my sister that I need to go to the hospital.
Wow. Wow.
It took a long time. I felt like it took an hour for me to get upstairs
Wow.
because I couldn't operate this body. It's like someone threw me into a robot, and I'm up here trying to figure out, you know, right foot, left foot. And it was hard to it was hard to get back acclimated. But I know for a fact that once like I started breathing more, like, oh, nature, whew, guys, my witness, nature is alive. That's why I believe in that term grounding,
Mm-hmm.
grounding yourself. That's real. Because when I tell you, as soon as I got outside and started looking at trees, look at sunlight hit me, breathing air, that helped me get back into my body. Because this is a part of us that is nature, you know?
Yeah.
It's a part of us that is the elements, dirt and everything else, you know, stardust. We are basically elements. So that helped me get back grounded. But I still was on a mind trip. I still was thinking about all the earths, you know, thinking about what would have happened if I would have focused on one. That was one of my real fears, because I'm like, why do we have so many earths? And why was it sucking me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, was I doing that or was it doing that? Because as soon as I put my attention on one, it's like I was drawing and then I pull back. And then I put my attention on another one and pull back. And I'm just like thinking, I'm trying to get back home.
Wow. And you had to figure out which earth was.
Mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
And that's when I'm just like, oh man, I cannot do this. And that's when I'm like, a human mind can't conceive this. And then I felt, like I said, a presence. And I know I had some kind of assistance, but it didn't say, hey, how are you? I mean, I'm sure it was my guardian angel or something, but you know, one of my spirit guides, somebody helped me get back. I know I couldn't have got back with myself. That wouldn't have happened.
How did that experience change you, Alexa? Like how, a lot of times, when people who've experienced an NDE, they come back and it's like they have all the players, or, they,
Bless
like
loaded.
they bring back talents and abilities. So how did that change you?
That's a loaded question because honestly, I don't think it changed me. I think it just awakened because I was very spiritual as a young child naturally.
Mm-hmm.
For a couple of years, I started to realize that and kind of dabble into it, but I was immediately smacked on the hand by anybody who was a elder, you know, family member, church member, and like, don't do that. But then as I got older, I was thinking like, nobody told me to do that stuff. Nobody taught me. So why was I, you know, immediately ostracized or punished or
Mm-hmm.
nobody told me like duty. Like I used to play games and everything. Like it was natural for me. I
Mm-hmm.
used to play memory games with my brother. I used to all this stuff came 100% natural. I mean, I can tell you a whole list of things. And I used to like, for instance, like I used to play this game with my brother where we would close our eyes and put, dark things over and visualize where we were going, and try to see the same things. And after a while, we would start seeing the same things.
Wow.
And I'm thinking to myself, just as young kids, we didn't know any better not to do it. And so that's why it worked. That's the only reason it worked. On top of that, cards, just regular playing cards. I just knew I could guess them for some reason. And like, I would put 8 cards down and have my brother hold the other 8. And then I would tell him, give me a card. And I would just wave it over. I would let him scramble as much as he wanted to. And I would just wave it under there and always find the match. And after about like 4 or 5 times, he'd be like, I'm telling mom. Why are you telling? And I would get in trouble.
Wow, that's incredible that it felt like something wrong. But it was just natural intuition.
It was. And I'm thinking to myself, who would you get somebody like if a kid was just making up a game, you wouldn't tell them, don't make up a game.
Mm-hmm.
So who would get in the way of a child just making up a game just because it's a guessing game or,
Mm-hmm.
to you it's spiritual or, all these different things. I think that stunted a lot of things that could have grown. And especially with me having so many OBEs as a young child, I didn't know I was having OBEs. I didn't realize, I thought I was having stupid dreams. That's what I used to call them.
Mm.
And I used to wake up and say, I had another stupid dream.
Wow.
And I don't know how many times I would say I had another stupid dream. Then it finally hit me like, it wasn't a stupid dream. You were just watching something mundane going on.
Wow.
And it took me watching my family eating dinner, like right below my bedroom, to realize, whoa, if that wasn't a dream, all that other, because I just like hurried back. Like I remember my family eating dinner and I thought I was dreaming. And I went to like a deep rocking sensation like I always do. And then I slowly drifted right above the table. And then I'm just watching them eat. And then I thought to myself, like, waiting for something to happen exciting. And I said, well, this is a stupid dream. And then that's when I actually heard a voice say, it's not a dream, you're out of your body. And I said, and then zoop, I zipped back to my bed. And that's the first time I woke up immediately after. So by me waking up immediately after, I was able to sit up. And then I'm breathing like, that didn't just happen. And I thought to myself, well, you can prove it to yourself right now, And I ran down the stairs, and sure enough, everybody was sitting in the right positions, talking about the same thing. Because I mean, this was only 1.5 minutes from me waking up to running down the stairs. So I immediately woke up, immediately run down the stairs. There they are. And they're looking at me like, be quiet and sit down. Because I'm trying to explain to my mom, it's like, I just saw you guys. I just saw you. And she's like, shut up and sit down and eat. And I'm like, I just saw you guys. She's like, sit down and eat. And I swear, after that, I was just like, okay, I'm done trying to tell them stuff.
So everybody can understand. So you were asleep upstairs. Mm-hmm. And you thought you were having what you call the stupid dream because you were a child, but you actually traveled from upstairs downstairs and saw the family at the table. You saw where everybody was seated. Mm-hmm. And you thought this is a dumb dream, and you heard a voice. No, you're having an out-of-body experience, which is what OBE means, right?
Well, the actual words was, no, no, the actual words was, this is not a dream. You're out of your body again.
Out of your body again.
And I was like, it's like, the gasp was like, because, out of my body, like, that's the worst thing you could ever think of. That's like, I'm a little Christian girl, and I had no idea, like, get out of your body, so I just zapped back into my body. But I'm thinking to myself right now, like, how many times I went to sleep with that same rocking sensation, how many dumb dreams I had, I
Yeah.
remember going into my brothers and sisters' rooms sometimes, just like nearby my bed, but still not in my body.
Yeah. Alexa, out of body experiences, is this something that you can intentionally do? Is it like between being awake and asleep? Like, how does that happen? Because I hear that a lot, out of body experiences. What is your interpretation of how to have that experience? And is it something that you can intentionally do?
Yes, definitely some people are experienced enough to leave back and forth like that. That's not me. I am probably in the more like 60, 70 percentile.
Okay.
So I can like set an intention, and I know the signs, like I can feel the symptoms of when you basically have kind of an open door.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's like anything else, you can practice it. So they have people that have like certain noises, certain frequencies, like certain buzzing things that you can, like, the sleep headphones. They have certain the what do you call it? Binaural beats, where they can be off enough to where you can train yourself to leave your body. So they're different things. Some people are very, very spiritual, and they just, some people pray all the time and leave their body. They don't realize they are. And I mean, they can be religious and everything, and they don't know they're astral traveling every night because they spend so much time in prayer that they are transported to see different people they're supposed to pray for. They just don't know they're out of body. They call it something else. They're like, oh, the Lord showed me in a vision. No, you were there. You're literally there. So
Wow.
that's the difference. And also, there's different techniques. It's like you have to know your own self and your temperance. I believe some people were born with the loose tether, and that's what I call, that's what I am. I just have a loose tether anyways, because we are connected by, the silver cord in the Bible talks about the silver cord. Some people who have NDEs and OBEs, they've actually seen the cord. It's like a tiny little silver cord, and it's like your belly button connected to your spirit. And it's supposed to be tight, but mine is loose. And that's what I said. Sometimes I was just like, as a child, like I said, I'll be around the house, not too far out, but still out. And it was just natural to me. And so you have to kind of figure out, from one, are you ready to? Because it is a scary thing if you never ever, experienced it, or if you don't know you do. Some people do, they don't know they do. But when you experience it and you're okay with it, I believe that opens the door. So that's the first step. Like if you accidentally have one, like acknowledge it and be accepting of it, and that will open the door. Because for one thing, God is not going to put more on you than you can bear. And if you're not comfortable with it, you don't have to deal with it. Now, there's girls who get out of their body because of their first kiss. Wow. And I seen a video about a girl talking about how many she had, about 3 OBEs. Her first one was her first kiss. She was so excited, she literally popped out and watched herself from above.
Oh wow!
Kissing their little boyfriend at school. So, like, she had an OBE. And I know his hair probably got big when he learned about it. Like, ooh, girl, I'll put you out your body. But it's just
you are hilarious.
I think it's just different reasons. Now, fear can do it too. Or like I remember being in a car accident. Now I don't remember leaving my body, but I remember the time slowing down to almost a non-moving. I know that can only happen when you're out of your body. But I was in a van that actually flipped over about 3 times. And so I remember it like, it seemed like it took 15 minutes for that van to flip. And I mean, every little second in, every increment of an increment of an increment of an increment of a second I experienced. So it was long for me.
Wow.
Everybody else was like a tumble, 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 but I was just like observing every angle of everything.
Wow.
And so it's just.
That's incredible. That is incredible. That's incredible. So tell us about some of your lucid dreams. Tell us about some of them. I remember hearing some of your interviews and I'm like, oh my gosh, she is making me so excited about having lucid dreams because you have seen some amazing things. So just let us know.
I don't even start. So do you want to hear about just like other planes of existence or just?
Yes, I know that. Tell us when you engage with other, which I concluded with highly evolved beings, where you actually engage with other people, and you talked one time about where you referenced a vegetable that.
Oh yeah, that's from the one.
Tell us about that dream.
Okay. So, oh my gosh, I can't even remember the beginning of it. Do you remember? I'm not gonna. I've had so many, really. I had so many, and it's like little details I write down so I can remember, but I don't remember how it started.
You went to another plane, you said, and you approached this man, and he had a vegetable that was hairy. I think you said.
Oh yeah.
Okay. It had hair on it, and you were he was almost like he was on the side of the road or something.
It was a market. It was a fruit market. Well, I don't know if you want to call it a market because I don't really remember any money exchange, but I do remember lots of fruits and vegetables and stuff. But it was one of the times I specifically said, like before I go to sleep, I make it specific. And I said, I want to eat different fruits and I want to see different people. And that was that night. And so it was one of those nights I set my intention. So anyways, I found myself amongst all these people. They were humanoid, but I mean, I don't know. None of them really looked noticeably weird. They were pretty much humanoid. If not, I missed. If somebody was off, I missed it. But anyways, I was walking amongst them, and there was a couple of different fruits that I noticed. And the weird thing is, it's like I know it's my guide because I literally talk to my guide like I'm talking to you. Nice. Every day. And so it was like, before I go to sleep today, and I know that if I'm having a OBE, I know my guide has to be there too, even though I can't always see them. And so I felt like somebody or something was with me, like, this is what you asked for. So I'm walking around in this thing looking at this fruit. And I'm looking at the fruit. And there was one though. Before I saw that big potato thing, there was one. And I just thought it would taste better than it did, and it didn't. I mean, it was a fruit, you know what I mean? That's how I know it wasn't like a fantasy dream or something, because my mind would have made that thing taste so good. But that's how I knew I was somewhere else. Like that just had fruit, because it tastes like a big, like oversized grape. And it wasn't nasty, but it wasn't like, fireworks. And so, I ate that, and then I kept walking, and around there were these big bins, brown bins on this table, and there were about 4 or 5 of them. And I saw one guy, he was older, and he looked like African dressed. Well, like he didn't have kente cloth on, but he had like the kind of the way it's shaped, their robe type of things. And he had short hair, he had a beard, and he saw me looking at him and looking at what he was looking at. And I felt like he was wise. Like, I don't know if he recognized I wasn't from there. Some people always know I'm not from there, and I don't know how. So anyways, I walked up to him, and I was just like, what is that? And it looked like a big, kind of looked like a coconut, but it was shaped like a potato. and it had like little fine hairs on it, like fine hairs on it. Not hairs, but I don't know, fibers. And he said, oh, and like he looked at me like closely. That's how I know he was wise, because he said, this is where your potato comes from. And I said, what do you mean? He said, on your world, your potato comes from this. And I was just like, well, why is yours so big? And then he's like, well, looking at me kind of like he didn't want to be rude, but like y'all did that. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like y'all messed up y'all earth, basically.
Wow.
And so he was like,
Wow.
yeah, you know, that's why yours is everything smaller. But it's crazy because it reminds me of a couple of stories and stuff that I used to hear as a younger person about how big our vegetation used to be. And I'm thinking, well, of course everything was big because dinosaurs was eating it. So it had to be bigger. You know, they're not gonna get full off no little grapes. And so I was thinking like that, but that idea came back to me, like that's the first time I put two and two together. Like, no, we polluted this earth that bad to where everything is small. Because I remember even having an apple tree. We had 2 apple trees growing up, and their apples used to be so small when we first moved there. We tried to help the tree and everything. They got a little bit bigger, but they were not the full size. And I always remember like those trees was neglected and just sick for so long that they could not produce good apples.
Wow.
And I guess that's how, I mean, yeah, we do produce some pretty good food on earth, but think about how good it would have been if we didn't F it up as bad as we did. You know, it would have been a lot better, you know. But yeah, he was just like, yeah, he was basically telling me like, y'all, you know, he's looking at me like, what you want me to say, you know?
Wow, that's something else. So
Yeah.
you said they look humanoid, so they look just like human beings, because I've heard that we have other, you know, parallel lives, like different versions of ourselves that looks just a little slightly different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a lot of versions of ourselves, but not only that, there are a lot of humanoid races that have nothing to do with Earth. There's just a totally another planet, nothing to do with Earth, and they're humans too. Because what I've been finding in my research is, you know how we got this idea like, okay, we have the first family and they had kids. These kids went to there and they lived under here. That's why they didn't get no light. And, you know, that's the white people. These people's in the sun all day. That's the black people. These people was in the wind all day. That's not true. All these different races that are here are from, we all have different genetics, basically. And then we are star seeds. We're not we didn't all come from one family. So different civilizations came to help seed the earth, or basically to boost our DNA up. So we got their languages and cultures and everything. Earth is like kind of an experiment a little bit, in my opinion. And so the people who were set over certain areas, they taught them that. And to this day, now it's coming out. You have some areas that know exactly where their ancestors from. You got these people in the Hawaiian and Samoan Islands and stuff. They know that then I'm talking about these ancient stories passed on for thousands of years. They know that their ancestors come from the Pleiades. You got people in Africa that say, we know our ancestors come from Orion. You got people in South America that say our ancestors came. So they know this is oral and it's written on the walls. I mean, you got actual carvings of spacemen on cave walls that are thousands of years old.
Wow.
Native Americans, they know exactly who their ancestors are, you know? So yeah, we have these bodies that are human, but we got a drop of that celestial DNA to bring us up. And that's why my studies now, they're making so much more sense. Because it's like we can only get so far evolving. We get to a certain point of self-recognition, and that's when we get that, you know, to bring us up to complete. And we still got a ways to go. Like we're still basically, you know, preschool compared to other places, but we're not primates anymore. You know what I mean? So like, you know, we got that point, and on top of that, this is nothing but a body anyways. Our spirit was always eternal. The only thing we're trying to do is bring this body into awareness with the spirit. So anyway, I'm not gonna get into all that, but there are so many races and civilizations.
Wow.
It's not even funny. And everyone on this earth has alien DNA. Nobody's from here. Nobody is from here. Like if you find somebody from here, show them to me, because our DNA alone proves that no one here is from Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they're starting to realize.
Mm-hmm.
Because the things that are from Earth, they're designed to live on Earth. We're not designed to live on Earth. That's why there's so many diseases and different things that are happening, because we're adapting. Just like if we were to move to Mars right now,
Mm-hmm.
we would have to adapt slowly. And then over time, we would get used to it, but you would always know we were not from there.
Yeah. Yes, I've heard that as well. So we all have different extraterrestrial lineages.
Right.
I absolutely agree.
More than one, usually.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we all, mix up at this point. And so there's like all kind of DNA. And they say this junk DNA, that's not junk. It's just not activated because, why would you give a 5-year-old a machine gun?
Mm.
We didn't learn enough lessons to access some of those capabilities.
So what other downloads did you receive, Alexa? What other information did you receive when you had your NDE and you came back? Do you have any other things you can remember and do you continue to receive downloads? Is it one?
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. It's too many. I can never put it in an episode, but I can tell you this, I do try to write down the main ones that come to me. Mm-hmm. Or if I have another dream, like I've had so many like spiritual unexplainable events that's happened to me that lets me know, like, girl, this is a meat suit. That's all I know. This is a meat suit. And yeah, I'm thankful for my body, God, because it helps me move along this test. But this is a meat suit. Mm-hmm. That realm over there is real, really, really real. Like way realer than this could ever be. And so that's what I learn every time I'm at a body. And when I come back, I'm like sometimes in the morning, like if I have a really, really impactful lucid dream, in the morning I have to take a whole hour to just, by myself, drink some coffee. A couple times I have to start work late. Like that's how my mind is like trying to get back to being human. Mm. Because you interact with different, experiences and influences and powers and species. And guess what? They're not always good. Because you vibrate at a certain level. Mm-hmm. But I gotta be honest, no, I don't always get to see these beautiful places that are so tropical and better than Earth. And no, some of them are literally like 1 point from Earth, okay, 0.5. Mm. Just like us in the same exact position as us, okay, 0.22222. That's how many there are. You can have one that is so much like ours, same exact problems, everything. Wow. So you're saying you have seen other dimensions and realms that are very, very similar to on basically the same vibration. Yes. Wow. Because if I'm vibrating at that level, what makes me think I'm supposed to, get all this extra treatment? And my guys have to kind of tell me that. They're like, you can't have a day worth of hell raising. And at the end of the day say, and now I want to ride a unicorn. It don't work like that, It don't work like that. And so I have to just, focus more like, okay, we gotta be good, a little better. Not just to go somewhere nice, but yeah, I do know that it affects you because it's just like, taking off a glove. I take off my glove in Antarctica, I'm still in Antarctica. If I take off my glove in Africa, I'm in Africa. So wherever you travel to, don't think that just going to sleep and waking up, and don't think they're just dying. It's going to change where you're at. All you're doing is taking off a glove. So, you go to sleep. Yeah, a lot of us travel when we sleep. You just don't remember it. But if you want to remember it, if you're meant to, just say a simple prayer. It's like, God, angels, soul family, Holy Spirit, help me remember my dreams. Or remind me to write them down, you know? Like if you wake up in the middle of the night and it's fresh, go ahead and take that 2-3 minutes and just send yourself a quick text, or just even something to make you remember what it was about, so that when you wake up again, you can still recall the rest of it. Because there are so many different types of dreams. And I tell you about that before, and I outlined them. Some of them are lucid, some of them are full-blown OBEs. Some of them are what I call sandbox dreams. So it's like you get a, you know, like a mirror image of what you're doing on Earth, but it's like it's in a sandbox. Some of them are prophetic. Some of them are spiritual encounters. There's so many different types of dreams because we are spiritual, and you're going to be able to have more experiences over there than here because you don't have the same constraints. You know, you don't have the same constraints. And matter of fact, recently I was praying to, you know, have more experiences and have them more vividly, and have the will to get up and record and, you know, write or whatever. And the weird thing is like I felt it was so, it was scary and rewarding at the same time. But it's like I felt my oversoul literally, like, this is what I visually saw spiritually in my vision. I felt my oversoul like looking at all these different places and like picking different bubbles and like putting them into like a basket for me. Like, okay, you want these type of experiences? I'm going to give the ones that are best for you right now. But I knew inside my heart that they weren't going to all be the best good ones. They whatever it was, whatever I need for this life. Like, are you willing to take them all? If you're willing to take them all, then okay.
So you mean some of them wouldn't necessarily feel like a paradise, they would have a lesson.
Yeah. Right. And it's like I felt my oversoul like picking these out of these different dimensions and planets, and they were like glowing balls. And they were like, I don't know if there was a dream or a world or what, but it was like a visual picture of these balls that were being picked out and put into this basket. I'm like, okay.
For you to experience.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, what did I get myself into? I want to be like, wait, go ahead, throw all the bad ones out. I don't want to.
So give us an example of a bad one, quote unquote. I guess a lower experience.
Well, like even the ones that's like Earth. I mean, you'd be surprised. Like, we got a lot of work to do. We are way down. And so this just the fact that I'm a human, not want to have another human experience. That tells you that we need work. Yeah. I'm like, oh, no. Like, I get in my body for 2 minutes. I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to go to nowhere like Earth. You know, like, that's like, you know, the audacity of like, no, you can keep that. I'm ready to see the palace. The palace.
So do you have any experiences of what would be a higher vibrational experience of another realm that you've, because you told me that a lot of times you're engaging with these highly evolved beings, it's better than Earth. So how is it better than, is it more loving? Does everybody know that we are one?
Yes, definitely. I think that for the most part, it's the atmosphere, first of all, because even if you're not in heaven, you still have if you're on a planet that's higher, more higher evolved than ours, the atmosphere feels like heaven.
Wow.
Or like a heaven, because it's way more than we are used to. You're used to a certain vibration. And if you go to one that's like 5 points higher, you're going to feel like you're in a type of heaven. Okay. And that's what I feel like when I go to one that's like, for instance, I've been to one plane where it definitely wasn't, you know, heaven, but they were above us. And I do remember like a ballroom of the type. I can't tell you if this was a parallel life or not, because I kind of feel like it might have been a parallel life. But it was like a ballroom, and it was like a lot of marble, and it was like a feast going on.
Wow.
And people were dressed up, and it was like all, like, I don't know what they were celebrating, but I feel like it must have been a parallel life, because I feel like I was looking through somebody's eyes. So I'm thinking this is one of my parallel lives. And somebody doing good. Somebody doing better than me. That's all. I'm like, that was good to feel that. But I felt like I had a sister there, and I was a younger sister, which to me is weird because, I'm the older sister. So I was a younger sister, and I was being like chastised. So it wasn't like not chastised in a bad way, but because of the way I was behaving. I guess I didn't want to be bothered. And so I was like a part of the, I guess, family that was supposed to be entertaining people. And I guess I just didn't want to be bothered, and I was rude, but I loved the scenery, like pillars and marble, and it was like open, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful,
Oh, wow.
And the girl who came up to me, she had like in the back of my head, like I knew we were related. And it was so weird because she was like telling me to like straighten up, like he tried to tell me to straighten up, and I'm like, get off me, you know what I mean? Like, it was just so weird. It's like, I want to run around and explore, but I was looking through that person's eyes in her life. And the weirdest thing is it like when I woke up from that dream, it reminded me of a physical experience I had here on Earth. And that memory popped up right when I woke up. And I feel like it was supposed to connect the two, honestly. It was supposed to connect the two, because I remember growing up in Tacoma as a young girl. I will never forget this, because I'm telling you, my spirit was so alive. I mean, it's still alive now, but I'm like awakened to the touch. Like I could feel energies and all that a lot more when I was younger. And I was walking to this community center that I used to always go to. And this lady that you might as well deem crazy. I don't know. I didn't know her. Like, we didn't know her in the neighborhood, but she looked like something was wrong with her. Now, I don't know if the lady was whacked out or if she was a witch or what, but something was on her. But when I was walking towards her, she kept staring and staring and staring, and then stopped in front of me. And I'm thinking like, can I help you? And she was like, it's you. And I'm like, what? She's like, it's you. I said, no, you don't know me. She said, no, it's you. And then she said, I remember. And I said, yes, I'm sorry, you don't know me. Then she grabbed my hand, girl. When she grabbed my hand, my stomach was like, woke all the way up, like from my gut. And it scared the hell out of me. And it's like I let her hand go. And I'm just like, and I said, no, you don't know me. And she's like, yes, I do. She said, you just can't remember. And she said, and she said this name that was so weird, but she said, you're so-and-so's daughter. And then she just walked away. And I'm just thinking to myself, my left brain is saying, this lady's just crazy. But I'm like, but why was your spirit moving like that? Because I know my spirit is right here. Because I'm telling you, I've had positive and negative spiritual experiences. I know that's where my spirit is. So why would that immediately wake my spirit up?
Tell us, I know I've heard you mention that you can almost feel when another version of you in another dimension has transitioned.
Yeah.
When another life, another person in another dimension has, like, we never die, but when their body transitions. Tell us a little bit about that. I guess it's just a feeling.
It's not even something you can explain. It's a knowing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like a sadness, but it's not really sad. It's just like, oh, because I feel like whatever they do, I don't know if the rest of their energy gets split amongst the rest of us. I don't know what happens, but it's like, I feel like a little email, like, ding, you got mail. And it's really quick, and it's not like dramatic, but it's a quick, like, knowing, like, oh, well, she just died. And it's like, I can feel like in the back of my head, was it peaceful? Was it not? Was it, I've had an actual dream where I thought I was going to wake up dead. I don't know. This must have been a girl who had a close bubble to me or something. But I know I almost experienced it with her, like literally get taken out, shot in the back of the head. And I'll never forget it. The gun was so loud. It's like I woke up and said, and he could not tell me I wasn't dead. That's how loud it was. That's how loud it was. And I was thinking to myself, like, looking at, because, I was married at the time. I'm like, you about to try to take me out? I was just thinking like, oh no, because my mind was racing like, that was too real.
Wow.
That was too real. And then I started calming down, like it was not me in this life. But it must have been like a close bubble, because see, we have all these realities, but you do have bubbles that are closer to you. So it's like bubbles, 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 but the ones that are like stuck to you, like, have you ever blew a lot of bubbles and smoke them gathered together? So like, if you're one in the middle, there can only be so many bubbles stuck to you. So let's say you got 12 bubbles stuck to your surface. Those are the dreams that you're going to dream about the most. Those are the other realities you're going to see the most. It's going to be very seldom that you'll go all the way out here to this bubble out there, without assistance. So if you're going to naturally drift, I naturally drift to the same places. That's how I know where I'm at. I know which house, when I'm there, I know which neighbor, there's like one house I know that from like the back of my hand is pretty big. And it's, it's no paradise. It's a big house, but I'm saying they're not like evolved, like higher than us or nothing. It's just like another earth. And then there's one that is, a little bit better, but they're close to this bubble, so it makes sense. And they're really, really like connected. That's how I know. I think what we do does affect each other. I don't know how to explain it, but it does affect each other. The decisions that we make affects our other lives. I think that, I don't know how, but I think it does.
I always say that. I always say that our thoughts, our speech, and our actions impact the universe and beyond. I've heard that many, many times by high vibrational spirits that it has impact. We are conditioned to think that we're insignificant to the world at large, but it's not true. Our vibration, our speech, our intentions, our actions are creative. So yeah. I absolutely agree with that.
And it was just crazy because it's like, why am I knowing this? And I'm like, am I knowing it because I just have a heightened antenna? So I'm just kind of accidentally picking it up? Or am I supposed to do something with it?
I think you're absolutely supposed to do something with it. And that goes to my next question is, what other projects that you have going on? I know we talked about a book.
Yes.
Because I do, you are a pioneer in lucid dreaming, and you have a lot of experience and I
don't know about pioneer, but I definitely had a lot of them.
You got to speak it in the universe. And so you have a lot to share. You have a lot to share. So tell me what other projects you have going on, in regards to your next ventures.
Well, I definitely am going to be working on the book more consistently. I wanted to do it years ago, but now I feel like, a lot had to transpire. So now I'm in a place now like, okay, this is where you got to really hone down, especially because now I'm having more dreams than normal. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, let me jump on the wave, because for a long time it was hit and miss. So now I'm having a lot more dreams. I'm like, let me go ahead and start, recording. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get back active, just recording my experiences. All the while, yes, I will be writing the chapters. And a lot of what I'm trying to put into my lucid dream workshop is going to be based off of some of the experiences I've had in the past and just what I've gathered over years and years of research, like documenting parallels with life, dreams, and I don't know how it correlates to your your everyday life, how it correlates to your everyday life. Because I'm noticing so many mirrors now that I didn't notice before.
Mm.
And I'm noticing like, okay, a lot of these units are preparing you for things.
Mm.
Even if it's not like don't go down 16th Street today. Not sometimes it's just preparing you for a reaction to something to come,
Mm-hmm.
or a test to come. So it's like, how are you gonna react to that? I'm getting a lot of those things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. So, just to know that this is a school,
Mm-hmm.
and I do have a lot of school dreams, not like me in a class learning with a teacher, but me literally roaming in the hallways. Like that tells me like gotta like get back to class. And I have been having those same dreams for about 3-4 years now. And that sounds about right. It adds up to when I was seriously working on the stuff I know I was supposed to work on.
Mm-hmm.
So now every time I'm in my class dream or my school dream, looking in windows, acting stupid, trying to, see, not in my class though. And I was like, okay, I gotta stop this. I have to stop it. But that's why I'm saying y'all pray for me as I pray for y'all, because definitely it's not easy. It's not easy to stay consistent when you got life going on. But I know I am supposed to speak about the experiences I have,
Mm-hmm.
and just to share with people that this is just one grain of sand on an innumerable count of beaches. Like the universe is so vast, and then the universe of universes, and I mean it's so big. Like this earth is literally one sand in like 50,000 beaches.
Wow.
And the more you enjoy life and appreciate it and just kind of expect to have other experiences, the more they'll come. They'll come naturally, but you can open your mouth and ask too. Don't be afraid to ask. And you can be specific.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm really specific. I'm like, is there a planet with purple sand? Like just weird, because I feel like anything you can think of, it has to be. That's what I'm starting to believe.
Mm-hmm.
If a human mind can imagine it, it's somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, why would I think about
there are concept of showers? I've heard like us taking a shower. There's actually a shower when we transition, especially if you've had a rough life. There's something where you get in the space and your light just falls.
off? Yeah.
That mimics our shower. So I agree with that. A lot of the things that we that we've invented, that we've come up with, their experiences. Star Wars, I heard.
Yes.
A lot of the movies are soul memories.
Mm-hmm.
We've encountered, other lifetimes and reality. So I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, it's light programming, basically. Those people were empowered and inspired by God. And to be honest, I'm one of them. And that's another thing I need to get on, because I do have a fiction outline that I want to write. And so I wrote the whole outline, but it's completely fiction. And it is about universal travels. But those people are put in places like that and empowered and funded because, in a way, it is conditioning the masses.
Mm-hmm.
No, everybody is not able to accept the fact that we're not alone. And as a matter of fact, this is a very organized galaxy of galaxies, and that there is going to be a time where it's going to have to be broken down to people like, look, this is what it is. Okay, we can't sit up here and pretend no more. We have to be inducted into this federation or whatever you want to call it.
Yes. Yes.
And Star Wars has been on for so many years. That might be the one thing stopping somebody from having a heart attack. The fact that they watched Star Wars for 10 years, somewhere subconsciously, they accepted it. So yeah, when it really happens, they're not going to be 100% like, oh no, I'm out of here.
Wow. So you're saying because they viewed the series before, when it does happen, right? If we start encountering extraterrestrials, it'll already be programmed for us. That's interesting.
It's light conditioning. And a lot of the governments allow it because, you know, they know things that they don't allow the public to know.
Absolutely.
So of course you don't want to panic everybody.
Yeah.
Let's see. Have you noticed more and more movies are coming out about that kind of stuff? More and more shows where the races have to get along, and this galaxy has to get along, and this person's planet blew up, and now we have to house them like refugees. That is a reality in the galaxy. We're just still in the playpen. So when we start realizing that, yeah, it ain't all about us, and we have to share. You know?
Well, Alexa, can you hang on just a few more minutes? Because I just had a few more questions and I want to do the,
Of course.
okay, thank you so much. Well, if anyone wants to reach out to Alexa Page and get more information from her, I will have her information in the description box. And we're going to have get some more information from the beautiful Alexa Page. See you on the next video. Bye-bye.